Hello everyone, I hope you're well. So today I'm talking briefly about April Jones. I'm sure many of you remember her. She was a Welsh girl who lived in Machileth, who disappeared on the 1st of October 2012. Mark Bridger is the man who murdered her, and now he's serving a whole life sentence. She was last seen getting into his van. So the reason I'm talking about her is because it's nice to keep the memory of life of some of these people who were murdered, you know, many years ago, whether they're children, you know, and it's nice for someone to be a voice for them, although she has her family, and I'm very sure they talk about her all of the time, you know. So what I wanted to say today was, like, that little girl was just out playing, you know. Her mother, probably like us, probably brought up in the era where we were just playing out, thinking that everything was just like safe and stuff like that, and we felt safe playing out in the streets, you know. I know I felt safe playing out in the streets back in, I was in the 80s and the 90s, you know. So I'm sure that's probably how she felt when she was a kid, and she and with her being in that tight-knit community, you know, being brought up in Wales, she probably felt like she knew a lot of people, so she probably felt safe with her child playing out. She would never expect something like this to have happened. You know, the problem that we have is that when something, although I know Mark Bridger was not an illegal, and that's the worry that we have nowadays, although he's not an illegal, it doesn't mean that crime doesn't happen by people who are not illegals. You know, they happen anyway. But the problem that we have is that we should be dealing with the wrong-uns we already have. We shouldn't be bringing in more wrong-uns for more crime to happen. You know, when life is life, it should be life. That means there's no parole. You just do not come out. You serve a life sentence. And this is what's happening now, is that because we have the wrong-uns that we already had, then you're bringing in illegals, and they want to try and shorten sentences so they come out to bring more in, right? And whoever needs to go into prison, they release them to let more in, right? That is wrong, because if we didn't have so many people in the country coming in, then we wouldn't have to do that. The people that we already have, the wrongers we already have, we could deal with, and if life is life, then that should be it. You know what I'm saying? So this is what is the problem, you know, is having to bring in more people, shortening sentences, right? Which we shouldn't be doing. Because if someone's committing murder, life should be life, you know? And that is what's not happening, you know? So people are feeling unsafe because people are coming out of prison early, you know, and coming out onto our streets. And on top of it all, we have illegals to deal with too, you know? And the reason I like being a voice for these people is because it's nice to remember them.